Welcome to Bears in Exile. Today is Thursday, July the 26th, and this is the market overview. Looking at the Dow, SPX, VIX, TNA, UUP, FXE, GLD, SLV, and everything else we always look at. Alright, well, today was rather incredible. Had the Euro news come out, boosted the market, Dow up more than 211 points, which we can see here. Extremely bullish, obviously. Getting close to the previous highs. Last night we were talking, the daily looked bad still. The 60-minute was begging for a move up. And 60-minute definitely got its move up. Beyond that, you know, you could say, oh, this is overdone, we need to have a down day, we need to have a sideways day. Because this is just way too much. And it didn't close at the highs of the day, but wow, I mean, it's it's just pretty darn amazing. I'm actually a little bit bullish for tomorrow, not because the daily looks good now, jumping above the long-term moving average bar, jumping above the upper price consensus level, and turning the secondaries, histogram ticking up, MACD ticking up, looking for a bullish cross up on the RSI, up on the CCI, up on the stochastics. And look at that, the 14-day RSI moving average lost its downward movement. It's going sideways. So overall, the daily, absolutely, it is bullish now, amazingly. We do have a blip in the heat map indicating a possible problem area, something to be aware of. And beyond that, and we have some room to move, not a whole lot of room to move to the upside on the secondaries, but enough to get to this previous top. If it were to crap out there, whew, that'd be such a bad sign. But anyways, going to the 60-minute time frame, yesterday it was begging for movement up. It certainly got it. We definitely have a warning area in the heat map. We have everything holding high and in some cases backing away. CCI backing away. Stochastic still pointing up. 14-day RSI moving average still pointing up. Still some room to move. These could get locked in the upright position, in which case we'll have further up movement even if these start to decline. It isn't until they turn around and join it that we should have a big pullback. News permitting, of course. Down on the RSI. Down on the histogram and still up on the MACD. You can see how close we are. It would seem natural at this point with what room there is in the daily that it would be retested. Could be totally wrong and news will come out or the news will expire and it'll just crap out tomorrow, but for the moment daily is positive, and the 60-minute is definitely overheated. So, I guess we'll see. It had earnings out after hours. Amazon looked like a really big miss, but it has recovered almost all of its losses. At one point, it recovered all of its losses. Now it's kind of fluctuating. Right now down about $3, I think, which isn't bad considering how bad the numbers, at least the headline numbers, looked. Facebook came out. They were, well, I'm not sure what they were. Yeah, they're down a couple of dollars after hours. Very interesting. Good numbers, bad numbers, we won't know what the street cares about until tomorrow. Moving on to SPX. Not as positive as the Dow, candle-wise. I find it kind of interesting. I was playing around with the fib levels, top to the bottom. Today it pierced the 66, backed away slightly. It looked for a while that it was going to close right at it, and I was going to laugh, but ended up backing away a little bit more at the close of the day. Beyond that, we still have the 14-day RSI moving average with a downtick. It had leveled out, but thanks to the end of the day, actually did get a slight downtick. Stochastics are mixed. up on the CCI, up on the RSI, up on the MACD, up on the MACD histogram. A few minutes before the close, these looked a little bit different. It looked like we were going to have everything pointing up or sideways. So that actually is not what I had planned. But nonetheless, very positive day. It did exceed the last 3 days with its high, bullish, closing above the major price consensus level. It's in there somewhere. It's covered up. It's right here, I believe. And closing above the long-term moving average bar. Lots of positive stuff. If there's man, that's a much larger move to get to the top than the Dow. There were some differences in the 60-minute last night between it and the Dow. We can see that we don't have as strong of a warning area in the heat map, so that's positive for the bulls. We do have the backing away of the CCI, fast stochastic, not this low. 14 days still pointing up. Slight off move by the RSI, slight move off by the histogram. MACD still pointing up. This looks stronger in the 60-minute than the Dow does. It's not as overheated, but it has much farther to go too. So, going on to the VIX. Yeah, look at that. Man, that is just one crazy drop. We had this spinning top yesterday closing below the major price consensus level. We had peaked back into this possible channel. And today just gapping through the long-term moving average bar, which is still bearish. And ending also with a kind of deformed spinning top. Possible bottoming area in the heat map once again. Down on the CCI, down on the stochastics. Actually, the slow has not turned. Up on the 14-day RSI moving average, down on the RSI, down on the histogram, and sideways on the MACD. Overall, definitely more bearish than bullish by a very clear factor. Also below the lower price consensus level. Good for bulls. Overheated? Nope, it still has room to move. And it looks like we've talked about the reset of the secondaries with the 14-day RSI moving average. If we're just doing a reset here, that's totally fine. I don't think it'll go and take out the previous lows. Maybe it'll go about here or so, 16. And then it can turn around. So, yeah, this is fine. The bears are going to be fine in the intermediate to long term. I have no doubt. Oops. Wrong time frame. 60-minute time frame. Are we overheated here? Well, we have some indication in the heat map. We are filling a gap. Notice how we filled the top portion of it today. And we still have some down here, going all the way down to 16, just below 16.5. We can see everything in the 60-minute time frame is either ticking down or holding down. Nothing ticking up. So it is not overheated in the 60-minute time frame, implying more to the downside. Is this gap enough to break out to new highs on the down SPX? It looks like enough for maybe a test of the Dow. I don't know about SPX. So, TNA, the big warning sign. This one is not good for the bullish perspective. We have, man, my lines are all screwed up. Does this heal them? Yes, it does. Sort of. I'm going to jump to the 180 because the daily, the scale is messed up for some reason. We had the two possible lines that we talked about last night. Kind of interesting because we did go through the possible top one twice today. Once a move through, once a pierce. Interesting that it would stop right below it. I just find that interesting. So doesn't necessarily mean anything, but matter of fact, I'm going to erase these and redo them later. But anyways, nothing like the Dow, nothing like SPX. Red candle, backed off of its highs. Had it been green, it would have matched up pretty well. Also notice that it crapped out right at the gap fill area. Beyond that, we have nothing in the heat map suggesting anything. We have the CCI up, RSI up, histogram slightly up, MACD still pointing down, stochastics trying to turn, 14-day RSI moving average pointing down. This is so much weaker than the Dow and SPX. We saw the 200-day moving average to deal with if it can get up there, but it having all kinds of problems, and that isn't healthy for the market whatsoever. And in the past weeks, this one was the one to lag the Dow and SPX. Could it be doing that again? It could. It doesn't mean that it's a good sign anyway. So overall, not a good indication. But we do have an uptick. Uptick gives us a target of the 200-day moving average as of today. Whew. That's a pretty nasty uptick, because if it's going to fail, it's a prime place for it to fail. But so it looks like a retest of the 200-day moving average, about just shy of 51.50 is where it needs to go. Nice little bump up, small in comparison to what it did today, but that is what it is. 60-minute time frame, since it didn't have a move like the Dow and SPX. Any difference here? Well, 60-minute time frame, we can see it's struggling with the long-term moving average bar, closing outside of it, getting a slight pierce, getting tossed on its head outside of it at the open. But we can see everything is moving up with the exception of the regular RSI. 60-minute is positive. And I like that it looks like it'll need to go in and fight the proper way. So not bad. That actually is a positive thing. And going on to UP, one of the reasons why I think tomorrow would be more bullish biased than bearish, ended with a little perfect little doji star right inside the long-term moving average bar, which is still bullish. So you would think it'll have to eject to the top and fill this gigantic gap. It should be noted, last night we noted a downtick on UUP, that it would have to go here. Obviously it gapped right through that, and I can't remember a time where a downtick was just gapped. So, especially not by such a huge margin. So I'm not sure if that's going to mean anything special or not. That is relatively new, so I'll be watching that with high interest. But beyond that, we can see that we came down, we hit the major price consensus level, we pierced it, and then backed away. That is bearish. We do have a little blip in the heat map, but we have everything ticking down. 14-day RSI moving average, RSI, CCI, stochastics, histogram, MACD looking for a bearish cross. This would appear that it will need to fill this gap first. That's what it looks like to me anyway. We talked about this gap in way back here in these videos. We didn't want to fill this gap and then do this gap. We wanted to fill this gap and go up and then fill this at a later time. And that is what it did. And the question becomes, is this the later time? We already filled a good portion of it today. Only have part of it left. But we're essentially halfway, right smack in the middle of 50% move this way, slightly less than 50% move this way. It would be easier to go this way slightly, but the long-term moving averages may support. Definitely more bearish than bullish though. FXE, the euro. Yeah, look at that. Did exactly the same thing. Last night we had the uptick, we noted it. We said that there was more room this way, and it would be more difficult to complete that gap fill, but we were still going to look for it nonetheless. Had 4 days to do it, and once you know it, gapped through the whole darn thing, making a new recent high, bullish, and has this gap fill right here to contend with. And it has this gap fill right here to contend with. Do I think that it can go and fill this all in one go? And we also have a double gap here. Noted that in a week or two ago. So gap, single gap, double gap. That's a lot of stuff to fill. Not that it was, closed at its highs or anything like that. It still has the long-term moving average bar, which is bearish, to contend with. But if it can get to the lower price consensus level, I'll be very happy. That will take out this single gap and this single gap and leave just this double gap. That would be perfect. It would be logical. So beyond that, CCI up, stochastics up, 14-day RSI moving average up, RSI up, histogram up, MACD up, looking for a bullish cross. These things are aligned in a great pattern for accomplishing this, and that would be bad for the bears. Going on, Comp Q. Yeah, very similar to TNA. Not as strong as the Dow or the SPX. We did get an uptick today. Uptick was resolved intraday. We now have to see what it wants to do. It did close below the long-term moving average bar, which is now a flat line. And beyond that, very mixed in the indicators. Nothing in the heat map. Up on the CCI, mixed on the stochastic, down on the 14-day RSI moving average, losing some momentum. Up on the RSI, slightly down on the MACD, up on the MACD histogram. Pretty big mess. Gotta see what it wants to do next. Apple. Had a nice start and a not so nice finish. Not the end of the world. Ended essentially flat with yesterday. Did pierce the major price consensus level once again, but notice it did not exceed yesterday's low. That is positive. You could say that this is a fat body spinning, fat body hammer. Maybe it is. It'd be nicer if the tail was a little bit longer, the body was a little thinner. We definitely have a warning area in the heat map that we're in a bottoming area. 14-day RSI moving average ticking down, CCI up, stochastics down, RSI up, histogram down, MACD down. Overall, what I would like to see here, and I don't know if we will, stochastics are already pretty low. If we're able to turn these around, have them go up and meet the 14-day RSI moving average, I would hope that that would be enough time to fill this gap. That would be optimal. But at that time, if that is accomplished, we'll have alignment with the 14-day RSI moving average and could have a real move down. GE, trying to get a better read on the Dow. Notice its position relative to the Dow chart in that it doesn't have too much farther to go before it makes a new high, new major high. So this makes a lot of sense. The only bad thing about this, it's way outside the upper Bollinger Band. It should go sideways or down to get back inside of it. We'll have to see tomorrow. CCI extremely high. We have a blip in the heat map problem area. The stochastics are pointing up. 14-day RSI moving average a little bit down. Up on the RSI, up on the histogram, up on the MACD, bullish cross. Very impressive. If it's able to push the upper Bollinger Band back, this sucker is going to break so darn fast. It's going to be pretty amazing. But very bullish sign except for the position of the candle. JP Morgan, the most important bank, unable to clear the long-term moving average bar, unable to make a new recent high. It is a hanging man, not a great sign. 14-day RSI moving average slight tick down, stochastics up, CCI up, RSI up, histogram up, MACD bullish cross. So I would say more bullish than bearish, but certainly some signs that are concerning. GLD. Wow. We were happy with this last night. Went in today. It did its gap fill. So this gap is closed. Pierced the major price consensus level. Could not close above it. Way outside the upper Bollinger Band. Definite topping area in the heat map. CCI massively up. Stochastics 14-day RSI moving average moving up along with the RSI, the histogram, and the MACD. I don't like the position of the chart, but overall, yeah, it looks like it has more to go, which makes sense. If the dollar is going to come down some more, if UUP is going to fall, we still have good alignment and room to move. Makes sense. SLV. We did not like this one last night. Don't like it tonight either. Yes, it made a new recent high, which is a good thing, but getting into the long-term moving average bar, falling outside of it, everything is moving on up. Indicator-wise, this one does look certainly more positive than negative, and the new recent high helps. I just, maybe I just want too much from it. And getting thrown outside the long-term moving average bar, not the best sign. More positive than negative. Maybe I'm also just thinking that stinking silver can never get underway in a meaningful direction, but maybe that will change tomorrow. And Walmart, former monster in my pocket. We're having fun charting these little fib levels that it kept toying around with. And today breaking out to a new all-time high, very bullish. Very good for the Dow. And everything ticking up with the exception of the 14-day RSI moving average, which is going sideways. Very, very strong. Very, very positive. Very, very bullish. Good for the overall market. And USO, since I don't have XOI. Not the greatest of a move. Closing inside the long-term moving average bar, it would have been much better to close outside of it. Did not happen. And it was red. Kind of interesting. I mean, it's a gap up. It's a move up over yesterday's close. But, you know, when oil is bullish, the market is bullish. If this one is able to go green, that'll be a huge help to the market. Closed a little bit of a gap here today, very slight. 14-day RSI moving average still moving up, been moving up this entire time. Fast stochastic is trying to turn slow, still pointing down. Up on the CCI, up on the RSI, down on the histogram, and sideways on the MACD. Slightly more positive than negative, but certainly not the perfect setup that we would like. And what else is there? Let me go through here really fast. Oh, Micro Vegas Baby. I just find this sector so fun. MGM, yet another possible hammer. Bottom of a range, just like back here. This one failed. Is this one going to fail tomorrow? It's possible. Bottoming area in the heat map. Stochastics attempting to turn slowly. 14-day RSI moving average moving down. CCI very low, ticking down. RSI up, first uptick. And slightly down on the MACD histograms and down on the MACD itself. Is this a reversal candle? So we'll know tomorrow. LVS. Yeah. definite, very strong looking hammer after missing its earnings yesterday night. Outside the lower Bollinger Band, should go sideways or up to get back inside of it. Definite bottoming area, and ticked darker tonight. Very low on the CCI, ticking down on the 14-day RSI moving average. Stochastics mixed low, sideways on the RSI, down on the histogram, down on the MACD. Indicator-wise, not a good-looking chart, but I sure do like that hammer. I sure do like that it is outside the lower Bollinger Band, and I love that there is a big gap here. We'll see. And when finish off Vegas, baby. Very nice hammer. Bottom of a range. Warning area in the heat map. Up on the CCI. Going up on the stochastics. Down on the 14-day RSI moving average. Up on the RSI. Up on the histogram. Down on the MACD. Is this a reversal candle? The entire sector has it. And it'll be very interesting to see if it plays out. And is there anything else? RSP, unweighted S&P 500, any different than SPX? We have a possible hanging man, got an uptick resolved intraday, closed right at the top of the long-term moving average bar, filling this gap partially, has a little further to go. A little bit of a warning area in the heat map. 14-day RSI moving average no longer going down, going sideways. Stochastics trying to curl. Up on the CCI, up on the RSI, up on the histogram, and up on the MACD. Bullish daily chart. And that's it. As always, all investing decisions are your own. This chart and video for entertainment, educational, and consumption of time purposes only. Thank you.